Gudbrand on the Hillside. Once upon a time, there was a man whose name was Gudbrand. He had a farm which lay far, far away on a hillside, and so they called him Gudbrand on the Hillside. Now you must know that this man and his good wife lived so happily together and understood one another so well that all the husband did, the wife thought so well done there was nothing like it in the world, and she was always glad whatever he turned his hand to. The farm was their own land, and they had $100 lying at the bottom of their chest, and two cows tethered in a stall in the farmyard. So one day his wife said to Gudbrand, "Do you know, dear, I think we ought to take one of our cows into town and sell it. That's what I think. For then we shall have some money in hand, and such well-to-do people as we ought to have ready money like the rest of the world. As for the $100 at the bottom of the chest yonder, we can't make a hole in them, and I'm sure I don't know what we want with more than one cow. Besides, we shall gain a little in another way, for then I shall get off with only looking after one cow, instead of having as now to feed and litter and water too." Well, Gudbrand thought his wife talked right good sense, so he set off at once with the cow on his way to town to sell the cow. But when he got to town, there was no one who would buy the cow. "Never mind," said Gudbrand. "At the worst, I can only go back home again with the cow. I've stable and tether for her, and the road is no further out than in." And with that he began to toddle home with his cow. But when he had gone a bit of the way, a man met him who had a horse to sell, so Gudbrand thought 'twas better to have a horse than a cow, so he swapped with the man. A little further on, he met a man walking along and driving a fat pig before him, and he thought it better to have a fat pig than a horse, so he swapped with the man. After that, he went a little farther, and a man met him with a goat, and he thought it would be better to have a goat than a pig, so he swapped with the man that owned the goat. Then he went on a good bit, till he met a man who had a sheep, and he swapped with him too, for he thought it was always better to have a sheep than a goat. After a while, he met a man with a goose, and he swapped away the sheep for the goose. And when he'd walked a long, long time, he met a man with a cockerel, and he swapped with him, for he thought in this wise, "'Tis surely better to have a cockerel than a goose." Then he went on till the day was far spent, and he began to get very hungry, so he sold the cockerel for a shilling, and bought food for the money, and thought, "Gudbrand on the Hillside, 'tis always better to save one's life than to have a cockerel." After that he went on home till he reached his nearest neighbour's house, where he turned in. "Well," said the owner of the house, "how did things go with you in town?" "Oh, rather so-so," said Gudbrand. "I can't praise my luck, nor do I blame it either." And with that he told the whole story from first to last. "Ah," said his friend, "you'll get nicely hauled over the coals, that you can see when you get home to your wife. Heaven help you, I wouldn't stand in your shoes for anything." "Well," said Gudbrand, "I think things might have gone much worse with me, but now, whether I've done wrong or not, I have a kind wife. She's never a word to say against anything I do." "Oh," answered the neighbour, "I hear what you say, but I don't believe it for all that." "Shall we lay a bet upon it?" asked Gudbrand. "I have $100 at the bottom of my chest. Will you lay as many against them?" Yes, the friend was ready to bet, so Gudbrand stayed there till evening, when it began to get dark, and then they went together to his house, and the neighbour was to stand outside the door and listen while the man went in to see his wife. "Good evening," said Gudbrand. "Good evening," said the wife. "Oh, is that you? Now God be praised." Yes, it was he. So the wife asked about how things had gone in town. "Oh, only so-so," answered Gudbrand. "Not much to brag of. When I got to the town, there was no one who'd buy the cow, so you must know that I swapped it away for a horse." "For a horse?" said his wife. "Well, that is good of you. Thanks with all my heart. We are so well to do that we may drive to church just as well as other people, and if we choose to keep a horse, we have a right to get one, I should think. So run out, child, and put up the horse." "Ah," said Gudbrand, "but you see, I've not got the horse, after all, for when I got a bit farther on the road, I swapped it away for a pig." "Think of that now," said the wife. "You did just as I should have done myself. 1,000 thanks. Now I can have a bit of bacon in the house to set before people when they come to see me, that I can. What do we want with a horse? People would only say we'd got so proud we couldn't walk to church. Go out and put the pig up in the sty." "Ah, but I've not got the pig either," said Gudbrand, "for when I got a little farther on, I swapped it for a milk goat." "Bless us," cried his wife, "how well you manage everything. Now I think it over, what should I do with a pig? People would only point at us and say, 'Yonder they eat up all they've got.' No, now I've got a goat, and I shall have milk and cheese, and keep the goat too. Run out and put the goat up." Uh, I don't have the goat either," said Gudbrand, "for a little farther on I swapped it away and got a fine sheep instead." "You don't say so," cried his wife. "Why, you do everything to please me, just as if I had been with you. What do we want with a goat? If I had it, I should lose half my time in climbing up the hills to get it down. No, if I have a sheep, I shall have both wool and clothing and fresh meat in the house. Run out and put up the sheep. Ah, but I haven't got the sheep any more than the rest, said Gudbrand, for when I'd got farther, I swapped it for a goose. Thank you with all my heart, cried his wife. What should I do with a sheep? I have no spinning wheel, nor carding comb, nor should I care to worry myself with cutting and shaping and sewing clothes. We can buy clothes now, as we've always done, and I shall have to roast goose, which I have longed for so often, and besides, down to stuff my little pillow. Run out and put the goose up. Ah, said Gudbrand, but I don't have the goose either, for when I'd gone a bit farther, I swapped it for a cockerel. Dear me, cried his wife, how you think of everything. Just as I should have done myself. A cockerel, think of that. Why, it's as good as an 8-day clock, for every morning the cock crows at 4 o'clock, and we shall be able to stir our stumps in good time. What should we do with a goose? I don't know how to cook it, and as for my pillow, I can stuff it with cotton grass. Run out and put the cockerel up. But after all, I haven't got the cockerel, said Gudbrand, for when I'd got a bit farther, I got as hungry as a hunter, so I was forced to sell the cockerel for a shilling, for fear I should starve. Now God be praised that you did so, cried his wife. Whatever you do it always just after my own heart. What should we do with the cockerel? We are our own masters, I should think, and can lie abed in the morning as long as we like. Heaven be thanked that I've got you back safe again. You who do everything so well that I want neither cockerel nor goose, nor pigs, nor anything. Then Gudbrand opened the door and said, Well, what do you say now? Have I won the $100? And his neighbour was forced to allow that he had.